Okay, we're rolling, so fingers crossed that works. So stay for a minute in that lovely meditative state as I read a quote from a book called Awakening Osiris. It's a beautiful interpretation of what is often called the Book of the Dead, which was really the book of awakening into the light of Amun-Ra by Normandy Ellis. As if I'd slept 1,000 years underwater, I wake into a new season. I am the blue lotus rising. I am the cup of dreams and memory opening. I, the 1,000-petaled flower. At dawn, the sun rises naked and new as a baby. I open myself, and I am entered by light. This is the joy, the slow awakening into fire, as one by one the petals open, as the fingers that held tight the secret unfold. I let go of the past and release the fragrance of flowers. So Egypt has both inspired and haunted me my entire life, as many of you likely know. And I recently returned from my 15th journey with a couple of you here. And I hope to go again in October of 2023. This morning I might have covered 5,000 years of Egyptian history and 3,000 years of prehistory, pyramids, dynasties, gods, goddesses, temples, tombs, hieroglyphs, and symbolic writing, star knowledge, magic, and spirituality. I chose to focus on the aspect of the sacred journey and Egyptian spirituality, as that is what's drawn me back to Egypt time and again, and likely in many lifetimes besides this one. My parents told me that when I was only 3 years old, they would find me asleep with the pages open of my uncle's National Geographic magazines to the pages of Egypt. When in the 5th grade, we were assigned to do a picture report, and I chose Egypt, and my uncle let me cannibalize one of his precious magazines. My teachers were very confused about my choice of subject when everyone else wrote about our nation's capital, their family vacation, and I wrote about Egypt. Ancient Egyptians perceived the cycles of the sun as metaphors for the soul's journey through eternity and time. We enter life through the gateway of birth, coming into the darkness of what many believe characterizes life on earth, and that's certainly what the ancient Egyptians believed. We slowly search for the light through life's experiences, and over time, over much time, we ultimately become illumined. Like the Hermetic axiom, as above, so below, the journey of the sun and that of the deceased pharaoh through the underworld offered a continual reminder of the cycles of life and death, and perhaps even a way to understand the purpose of earthly life. Ancient Egyptians believed that true intelligence resided in the heart, and they believed that life was meant to be lived in balance, with every thought and deed measured by true spiritual sight with love and compassion. After death, the heart of the deceased was symbolically weighed in a balanced scales against the feather of the goddess Ma'at, very much like what Shayla is wearing today, who embodied the principle of truth and right relationship to all things. It was an ostrich feather because ostriches are said to have keen sight at a distance. Ancient Egyptians lived in a world of magic, seeing symbols and significance everywhere. And as a lifetime student of Egyptian mysteries, I have long been fascinated and intrigued by the symbol named Aker. It's an extremely old Egyptian god, depicted as 2 lions, back to back, with a solar orb in the middle. One lion was yesterday, the other tomorrow, and the solar orb in the middle represented the present moment, resting on the horizon. His name means he who is beneath. And the names of the lions were Sefer and Duaj. The orb in the center, as I said, represents the present moment. One lion faces west and was the guardian of the soul at sunset, the other east, the guardian as the soul or the pharaoh emerged from the dangerous underworld, from darkness beneath at dawn. And to the Egyptians, The daily journey of the sun represented each of our souls through time. In addition to guarding the gates of sunrise and sunset, the Akar lions watched over the boat of the sun god, Ra, as it made its nightly and perilous journey through the underworld, the world of dreams and the world of death, and the world of sleep. Very much like the bardo. Duaj protected the sun god as he entered the gate of sunset each evening, and Sefer assured that the dawn birth of the newborn sun god, Ra Kafer, portrayed as a winged scarab, took place each morning. This brought the new day into being, as well as symbolically bringing the soul out of the darkness and into the light. And they honored this cycle not only of the day, but of the year and through the ages of time. Egyptian funerary texts proclaimed that when the sun god arrived at the 12th hour and last hour of night, the miracle of rebirth, symbolized by the lotus, occurred through the gate, quote, with the mysterious entrance, close quote. Poet Khalil Gibran has said, one may not reach the dawn except by the path of the night. And this is true, but there have always been those who held lanterns to guide our way through the darkness through the mysterious experience of initiation. We can take heart that the universal path of spiritual teaching has permeated spiritual traditions throughout time and continues to do so from the work that happens here every Sunday and throughout what is offered through other spiritual traditions. Often called the underground stream, the spiritual wisdom of the ages is always present, even though hiding in the shadows at times. Our job is to prepare ourselves to receive this knowledge, as knowing the path and the terrain of the journey makes it possible to undertake it consciously. More about that this afternoon if you choose to stay. But what about us? Sacred journeys change us in ways that we can't imagine or foresee before we embark. It's a living, organic experience. Long before the first step is taken on foreign soil, subtle messages appear in the form of synchronicities, dreams, challenges, and blessings. Our resolve and courage are tested, just like in an initiation. At some level, we realize we won't return as quite the same person who departed, and we sense that the experience might challenge us in unexpected ways. Afterward, there is typically a period of integration that can last for months or even years at times. And there may be an accompanying feeling of a call to action, a desire to do something in the world significant with the experience as a result. Should you choose to embark upon a sacred journey or have memory of others that you have embarked upon, it's important that from the very beginning we realize that a pilgrimage is not the same as a vacation, and the journey happens on several levels. A pilgrimage has been described as a journey to a sacred place for a holy reason. It's a process of spiritual awakening and not just physical renewal like visiting a health spa. An actualization of spiritual transformation and inner resolution is absolutely necessary if we are to gain the gifts that we seek. It is more a matter, and this seems true in some places in the world more than others, places like Egypt, Mexico, Peru. It's more a matter of memory, reclamation, and integration rather than just gathering new data or having interesting experiences. We can't drive down the road to the mall, and we are often faced with a collision of cultures that challenges our normal patterns. Of course, that's the point, isn't it? Sometimes people get triggered by something unfamiliar that makes them uncomfortable. It can be something as simple as a change in the itinerary that dramatically upsets their equilibrium. I often say that you never really get to know someone until you travel with them. You see their light side and their dark side. Or someone can experience an unexpected emotional reaction to a particular site or temple. Intense joy, or sometimes deep, inexplicable grief can emerge. We can choose to be open to what arises unexpectedly in these places and experience an alien culture as well as what might be a powerful connection to our past from another time. When we travel to Egypt, we enter the realm of the Middle East, and the media has done a masterful and malicious job of making the term itself frightening. For many people, just the idea of Egypt conjures up images of terrorism and now the pandemic. This offers a profound mirror to watch our reactions to what arises through us. Do we see the experience as a gift, a lesson, or a threat? It can be a great teaching to consciously shift our perspective and understand what is happening on a deeper level when we start to feel uncomfortable. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? We might ask, what is this trying to teach me? It's this very discomfort that holds the potential gold mine as it takes us to the level of our unconscious patterns, past life wounds, karma, and fears that are begging to be transformed so that our life can become more conscious. Such a pilgrimage begins with the intention and signing your name or paying the deposit, which represents a commitment, like signing a contract with yourself. It's my experience that it is at this point that the journey really begins, and simple but profound events may begin to occur months before the plane takes off. I always find that there's one person who takes the plunge early and seems to hold the space like a magnetic center for all those who may decide to join the journey at a later time. Millions of people from around the world visit each year, and there was, of course, and have been, of course, times when those numbers declined, but in March, the country was so filled with people, I think it was even as crowded as before the pandemic. And you would never have known there was a pandemic there, or Mexico, or Hawaii. I believe one reason Egypt draws us back so strongly is a subconscious memory of a time when the mysteries were known and acknowledged and taught and experienced in the temples. Also more about this afternoon. Egypt's ancient culture is still miraculous in many ways. We have no idea, regardless of what people say, how the pyramids were built or why, despite theories and Egyptological orthodoxy. One thing is pretty certain: they were not tombs. Egypt was once a land of magic, and something deep within our psyches remembers and aches to reclaim this knowledge. At some level, we understand that sacred sites are like pressure cookers, with the potential to accelerate healing and stimulate our memories. Even if we undertake a virtual journey and never leave the comfort of our couch, connecting with the potency of a sacred site with which we resonate can act as a powerful trigger for our memory. And therefore, a spiritual pilgrimage can be a way to shift our perspective and connect with our hearts. It's my personal belief that we are drawn to scenes of our past lives, but the process works whether or not we consciously agree or hold this belief. I myself have been drawn back multiple times to heal an old wound and loss and grief from 4,000 years ago. I believe that it's finally healed, and it's taken all those times and allowing myself to go deep and access the experience to finally remember. In this spiritual context, as we experience different incarnations, we build up positives and negatives that need to be brought into equilibrium. For some people, ancient wounds, which have replicated pain and pattern through many subsequent incarnations, need to be recognized and destructive patterns be released. It's amazing. As a side note, psychiatrist Brian Weiss and also Michael Newton both remarked when they regressed thousands of people over the course of their practices how discouraging it was that people seemed to come back lifetime after lifetime dealing with the same issue. So wouldn't we want to wake up and get past it? For others, Karma that magnetizes painful and destructive relationships must be cleared. Special gifts or talents that have been forgotten or lain dormant for lifetimes can be retrieved, integrated, and offered in service in the present life. As people gain their own recall, these memories may emerge spontaneously as a new invention or revolutionary healing technique. I have witnessed and shared many experiences with people, and I will share some examples this afternoon. Even though time and space are illusions and other dimensions move at the speed of light, we are still encased in physical bodies and experience limitation because that motion is so much slower. It is my experience that sacred travel, embarked upon with humility, courage, and intention, can bend space and fold time and consciousness in a way that is both mysterious and miraculous. At the site of an ancient temple, perhaps where we lived and worked in another lifetime, we can accomplish soul growth in an instant that might otherwise take a lifetime. It's more like a shamanic journey, bestowing a state of grace where we can step outside of time and miracles of healing can occur in the blink of an eye. As an analogy, when we were limited to the technology of cassettes, which for the time were revolutionary, finding information was linear, requiring either reversing or fast-forwarding the tape sequentially to locate a specific piece of information. With the advent of CDs and then other digital technology, we are able to access any portion of the stored information instantly as it resides everywhere all at once. And that's just 3D technology. We aren't even on the brink of what can happen with our psyche. I believe each person carries a carefully protected fragment of hidden wisdom, like a coded piece of a giant jigsaw puzzle. If we can reclaim our own memories, accessing our own personal hall of records, wading deep within our own psyches, we can work to reassemble the collective picture. Undertaking a pilgrimage of power, whether the journey is an inner one of consciousness or a trek to the other side of the earth, the healing work accomplished can help transform the world. And that is why we go. And I'll close with another quote from Normandy Ellis's book. Stars fade like memory the instant before dawn. Low in the east, the sun appears like an opening eye. That which can be named must exist. That which is named can be written. That which is written shall be remembered, and that which is remembered lives. In the land of Egypt, Osiris breathes. The sun rises and mists disperse. As I am, I was, and I shall be a thing of matter and of heaven.